Hello, hope everybody is doing well. We're jumping straight into what we were doing, and that's me putting young Timothy here through his LSC SO Academy. All right. All right, continuing Section 2C, use of force. If you notice at the top, we have 5 levels to our use of force continuum. So you have the response by the officer and you have the response by the subject. That first level is going to be your officer presence. That is how you look, that is how you talk, that is how you present yourself. If a lot of times simply showing up, having sheriff's department on the vest or the shirt, having the taser, having the badge, having the weapon, a lot of times that is enough to dissuade any resistance. It's enough to de-escalate a situation, and enough to persuade a subject to comply with what you want to do. We That's always our first level. That's always our first go-to, and that starts from your vehicle being a marked vehicle or having lights, and how you handle yourself throughout an encounter. As we move on to level 2, verbal communication, um, that's going to be clear, understandable directions issued by a Leo. And examples of that: stop or you'll be tased, drop the gun or you'll be shot, taser, taser, taser. And it's as simple as, can I see your license registration? Step out of the vehicle, turn the vehicle off. Any directive that you give them, any interaction that you have with them verbally is going to be under that verbal communication. Um, it's used to notify a subject of warnings or to give them a reason to comply. And these orders should last roughly for 3 seconds long when issuing them in a clear, concise manner. As always, there are going to be exigent circumstances where you don't have 3 seconds to give a verbal command in order for them to begin complying. Level 3 is going to be physical control, and that's broken up into 2 sections. That's soft techniques, which are techniques that can be used that will result in a low chance of injury to the subject: tackling, pushing, arm bar, things like that. And then you have hard techniques, which may cause some tissue damage, fractures, or a concussion. That's punching, kicking, higher up on the use of hands, use of force. Level 4 is going to be less than lethal, and that's going to pertain to the usage of PDSO equipment like the taser or the nightstick. There is a possibility that the usage of this equipment may cause low to severe injury to the individual. And you notice that level 4 is less than lethal. It's not non-lethal. Anything can be lethal. If you've ever seen a John Wick movie, you know there is no such thing as non-lethal. Anything can be lethal. So it's less than lethal. And then level 5 is going to be lethal force, and that's when using a PD issue weapon that will cause serious bodily injury and in some cases death. These will be in the form of firearms, assault rifles, and shotguns. Also at the top, you'll notice the matrix. Too much camera crap. It gives you the level of the suggested appropriate level of force based on their resistance. So if the subject's compliant, your officer presence is going to be enough to handle that situation. If they're passive resistant, they're just not doing what you told them to, they're standing still, they're mouthing off, then you bump up to the verbal communication. Once they become actively resistant, where they are trying to pull away from you, they're trying to run, trying to escape, things like that, we're going to go into the physical control techniques. When they become assaultive, they start swinging on us, they start actively trying to hurt us, but not in a lethal manner. We're going to move up to level 4, which is the less than lethal force. And then any type of force that they use, which could result in great bodily injury or death, we're going to bump it up to that lethal force. Um, Keep in mind, there is nothing in this use of force continuum that says that you have to move through all levels of force in order. It is entirely possible, as soon as you jump out of a vehicle, to move directly into level 5, which is lethal force. You may start with lethal force, and then the subject drops the weapon and becomes compliant, and then you back it down. You're going to go to the minimum force necessary to effect the arrest. So if that minimum force is physical control, then that's what we're going to use. And if we have to defend ourselves or someone else, then we're going to use lethal force. We're going to do what we have to do to make sure that we go home to our families at the end of the day. The people that we deal with, they have 3 choices. They can go home. Actually, they have 4 choices. They can Fuck, I don't even know. I'm so tired that I can't even count. They can go to the morgue, they can go to jail, they can go to the hospital. That's their choices. But they're going to do one of those things. We're going home at the end of the day. We're going to do whatever we have to do to go home at the end of the day. So, any questions on use of force?
That sounds good.
All right, I can barely hear you.
Uh,
We use the Athtel make model, which law enforcement should follow. Um, It's expected to be polite and courteous when interacting with civilians and suspects. However, the officer shouldn't be afraid to issue orders or carry out the appropriate amount of force needed to maintain control of a scene. In layman's terms, we're going to ask them to follow our order. We're going to rephrase the statement and tell the subject to follow the order if they refuse. And then lastly, we're going to make them follow the order by whatever means are necessary. All right. For taser deployments, we always want to make sure that we are following our use of force continuum and following it directly and correctly as much as that we can. Um, Obviously, we are to give lawful commands to individuals each time before taking action. What this means is when an individual is fleeing on foot, you are to tackle them at least 3 times before resorting to a taser. Then, after 3 tackles have been exhausted, you are to resort to the taser every 30 seconds. All right. A verbal command must be said before doing any of these actions. And you should constantly be identifying yourself, sheriff's department, police officer, state trooper, whoever. You need to be identifying yourself continually so that there's no defense. Well, I just thought it was a regular person. I didn't realize it was a law enforcement officer telling me to do something. And at the same time, you want to keep repeating those verbal commands. Police, get on the ground. Sheriff's Department, get on the ground. Sheriff's Department, show me your hands. Sheriff's Department, stop running. Sheriff's Department, get on the ground. Constantly doing those things. And then when the appropriate time to tase somebody comes, then you're going to do it. We're not going to spam tase them. Obviously, if they're in a vehicle, we can't tackle them. You may tase them out of a vehicle only if that vehicle is stationary and the tasing is warranted. All right. Any questions on that so far?
no, sounds good. Straightforward.
All right, so for the taser usage and guidelines, tasers are considered less than lethal depending on the circumstance. The taser may increase the risk of serious injury or death. So you will not tase a suspect who is elevated above ground level or at an unreasonable height on a ladder or in a moving vehicle. All right, obvious. You hit them with a taser, they're going to lock up like a board. So we don't want to cause them any injury because they're no longer able to support themselves at a higher level than would be reasonable. You're going to give at least 3 warnings and inform them that they will be tased if they do not stop. Do not use your taser to pop tires on fleeing vehicles. Do not tase a suspect while they are already on the ground. Do not tase somebody who is in water. All right. You may place someone in cuffs while they are under power of a taser, as long as it is communicated to all officers. You may tase a suspect out of a vehicle if they refuse to exit the car and the vehicle is stationary. You may tase a suspect who is fleeing to a vehicle or a motorcycle or someone who is stationary on a motorbike. Again, we are not going to tase somebody who is in a moving vehicle. All right. At that point, they are unable to control the vehicle. They're going to lock up. They're probably going to hit the accelerator and they have no control of where that vehicle is going. So that could endanger officers, civilians, or other suspects. We're just not going to do that. All right.
Copy that.
And you've tased me enough that I know you know exactly how the taser works.
Yes, sir.
All right, the MDW, the mobile data workstation, is going to be explained limitedly here because most of that is going to be hands-on. The easiest way to learn that system is to use it. So one big, basically the only thing that we're going to go over in the MDW here is that if you are caught utilizing the MDW to erase, alter, or otherwise change somebody's profile without authorization or good reason, you will be terminated from the Department of Public Safety without any warnings, and you will be ineligible for rehire. We do not fuck around in that system. We do not change things that we don't need to be changing. All right.
Understood.
Guys, I'm sorry for having to clear my throat so much. All right, Section 2E, Penal Code and Case Law. You should have gotten a copy of that. It's also on the MDW. You can find use the search function to find charges and their definitions. Ensure all definitions are read before pushing the charges to make sure it's not an umbrella charge. So an umbrella charge are also called lesser included. So robbery of a financial institution is a blanket charge for robbery, possession of a firearm, possession of stolen money, evading, kidnapping, etc. Those are all lesser included of robbery of a financial institution. So you would only charge for the robbery of a financial institution. You wouldn't charge all those other things and stack them. All right. You should have been given a copy of the case laws. We'll go over some of those real quick. You do need to know these. You are tested on them during your field training. So, and they're really important on knowing how to do your job safely and legally. Tennessee versus Garter. It's going to be 1985. Under the Fourth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, a police officer may use deadly force to prevent the escape of a fleeing suspect only if the officer has a good faith belief that the suspect poses a significant threat of death or serious injury to the officer or others if they are allowed to continue to flee. So just because somebody is fleeing from you, you can't shoot them. But if they're fleeing from you, if they're targeting civilians, if they're armed, things like that, you use that thing between your ears. And if they present a significant threat of death or serious bodily injury to either us or somebody else, then we need to take care of it right there. Terry v. Ohio from 1968. Under the Fourth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, a police officer may stop a suspect on the street and frisk him or her without probable cause to arrest if the officer has a reasonable suspicion that the person is committing, or is about to commit a crime and has reasonable belief that the person may be armed and presently dangerous. All right, so some definitions that we did not go over that we should have. Can you explain to me the difference between reasonable suspicion and probable cause?
Yes. So, I believe reasonable suspicion. Another one. Probable cause means that. I'm overthinking it. Reasonable suspicion means that I think they would be doing or in the act of a crime or in the process doing a crime. Probable cause means that I see something, like if I pull them over and I see like an open container, that's probable cause for me to assume that they're like driving under the influence.
All right, so I'm gonna
Uh,
give you a little simpler way. So reasonable suspicion is, I believe a crime has been committed, is being committed, or is about to be committed, and you are possibly committing that crime. I think. I have no articulable evidence. I have no statements. I have absolutely nothing to back that up. Your reasonable suspicion is going to be your hunch or your gut feeling. All right. Probable cause is, I have reason to believe and do believe that you have committed a crime, are committing a crime, or about to commit a crime, and I have articulable evidence and witness statements to prove that. So if you
okay.
if you think of it on a matrix of 0% certainty to 100% certainty, anything below 50% is going to be reasonable suspicion. Anything 51% higher is going to be probable cause. You have something tangible to show that this person did commit this offense. All right.
Copy.
So Terry v. Ohio or Terry stops, they work on the principle of reasonable suspicion. So um, that's going to be reasonable suspicion that the person has committed, is committing, or about to commit a crime and has a reasonable belief that the person may be armed and presently dangerous. So what is the difference between a Terry frisk and a search?
Um, let a Terry first be like a simple pat down, and a search would be like a full blown searching for evidence.
That is correct. For a Terry frisk, I am not going to enter any pockets or containers. I am simply going to pat the outside of the clothing and see if I can feel anything that feels like a weapon. You're going to have to if you move from or take any action off of a Terry frisk, you're going to have to be able to articulate why you did that. You're going to have to articulate what you felt and why it felt like a weapon. All right.
10-4.
And a full blown search is going to be emptying pockets, checking under a hat band, checking in the waistband, checking in the crotch, pulling shoes off, checking under the pad of the shoes, open the mouth, lift the tongue, all of those things. That's going to be a full blown search.
Copy.
All right, Miranda versus Arizona, the big one, 1996. That is the Fifth Amendment. It says that any statements that a defendant in custody makes during an interrogation are admissible as evidence of a crime, evidence of a criminal trial only if the law enforcement officer told the defendant of the right to remain silent and the right to speak with an attorney before the interrogation started, and the rights were either exercised or waived in a knowing, voluntary, and intelligent manner. All right. So, what do you have? What two things do you need in order to trigger a Miranda warning?
In order to trigger a Miranda warning,
Correct. And in what instance, if you want to talk to somebody, what do you need? What elements do you need in order to require a Miranda warning?
let me see. I'm not 100% sure. I feel like if I'm going to question them on like evidence I found that could be used against them, so before they answer it, they have to know their rights, right?
You're halfway there. So you need the two ends. You need them to be in custody, and you have to be interrogating them. So they have to be in custody of some sort where they are not free to leave, or believe that they are not free to leave. And you have to be asking them questions which could incriminate them. So just because I have somebody in handcuffs, I can talk to them all day long. I can ask them about anything that doesn't apply to the crime that they're doing, and I don't have to Mirandize them. If I'm not asking them about what they did and asking them to make some type of statements that may incriminate them, I'm not required to have a Miranda warning. If I walk up to somebody on the street and I make it clear to them that they are free to go at any time and they do not have to talk to me, I can ask them any questions I want, and I'm still not required to give them a Miranda warning because they're not in custody at that time. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
So the whole trope on TV where you see somebody getting read their Miranda as soon as they get arrested, that's bullshit. It's absolutely useless. They're just wasting their breath. The arrests that I make, at least half of them, there's no need for them to ever be read Miranda because I'm not asking them a question that could incriminate them.
Okay.
Pennsylvania versus Mims from 1977. It's the order to get out of the car issued after the respondent was lawfully detained was reasonable and thus permissible under the Fourth Amendment. The state's proffered justification for such order, the officer's safety, is both legitimate and weighty, and the intrusion into respondent's personal liberty occasioned by the order, being at most a mere convenience, cannot prevail when balanced against legitimate concerns for the officer's safety. So tell me what you think that means.
So, like, if I do a traffic stop and I feel there may be something in the car, I can't see it, that would make me unsafe, I would ask them to get out of the car so I can make the scene safe for myself and
Okay,
others.
that's absolutely correct. So the two words in that statement that's in your Academy handbook that are crucial to this is lawfully detained. If they are lawfully detained, you can ask them to step out of the vehicle, and at that point, if they refuse, make them step out of the vehicle for your safety. All right. Maryland v. King from 2013. Police can and will take DNA from any suspect arrested before a conviction. DNA identification of arrestees is a reasonable search that can be considered part of a routine booking procedure. When officers make an arrest supported by probable cause to hold for a serious offense, and they bring the suspect to the station to be detained in custody, taking and analyzing a cheek swab of the arrestee's DNA is, like fingerprinting and photographing, a legitimate police booking procedure that is reasonable under the Fourth Amendment. That's what allows us to pull DNA from people that we arrest without having to have a search warrant.
Yeah.
All right. Any questions about any of that case law? Like I said, it's really important. A lot of people, including me, when I was first exposed to it, I had to read it several times to kind of absorb what it was and see where it applied.
No, definitely have to read over it some more, get it sucked into my head so I understand it. But the explanations were great and were super helpful, so I think I'm good.
Okay. And any questions that you have, don't worry about it sounding like a dumb question. I promise you, I've heard it before, and there's a good chance that I've probably asked it before. I would rather you have the question now and get it answered when we're in a sterile environment inside a building and training than at 2 o'clock in the morning when it's raining and you're by yourself on the side of the road with somebody else.
Understood.
Hey, Adama. Hey, Outlaw. Sorry, I've only got two screens and I'm using one to be able to read this stuff and one to see him. So sorry if I'm kind of ignoring y'all tonight. Section 2F Miranda rights. We all know the Miranda rights. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you do or say will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one will be provided to you by the state if one is available. Do you understand these rights? These are to be read to someone who is currently being charged and arrested with a crime or on the suspicion of a crime until further notice. These Miranda rights, in a simple way, mean that you do not have to admit guilt. You do not need to answer any questions officers may give you, and/or you may stay completely quiet. Anything you as a suspect or a person of a serious offense say or do audibly or visibly will be presented as evidence in court. You can ask and present a lawyer, and if you do not have the acceptable money for one, one may be provided at the expense of the PD or law enforcement agency. If the subject decides to stay quiet for the question, do you understand these rights as read to you? Then you may proceed and take the silence as an act of expression of their rights. Following up these rights with uh, following following up with these rights, you will tell them the charges being pressed and the offenses they have committed and or suspected of committing. So there is also other case law out there that says that a suspect saying something similar to, I think I need to talk to a lawyer, I may want to talk to a lawyer, that is not an invocation of their rights. That is in no way an invocation of their rights. They must specifically say they want to talk to a lawyer. They are not going to talk to you. They want to speak to a lawyer. Now, if they invoke their rights, that doesn't mean you can't talk to them. You can say anything you want to. You just can't ask them specific questions. So you don't have to completely shut down. You're still able to answer questions they have as long as it doesn't come in the form of a question from you. And you can still ask them administrative questions that don't pertain to that crime. You can still ask them their name, date of birth. You can ask them what vehicle they drive. Anything that would be administrative and not be incriminating directly to that crime, you can still ask them. You don't have to completely shut down and give them the silent treatment just because they invoke their rights. Um, Miranda rights do not apply to spontaneous utterances. So if you've got somebody in the back, they haven't been Mirandized, you haven't asked them a question, and they all of a sudden piped up, "Yeah, I killed that son of a bitch. He deserved it." You don't have to stop them and read them Miranda. Let them say what they're going to say. It's a spontaneous utterance or an excited utterance, and they're able to say whatever they want to say, and it's still able to be used in.
Okay.
They really should
Yeah, I'm fine.
move this part further up above the case law. 2G, reasonable suspicion and probable cause. Reasonable suspicion is a commonly used term by law enforcement. It is regarded as being more than thinking a crime has been committed, but less than probable cause. It requires uh, It refers to what a reasonable officer or a normal average law enforcement officer would consider suspicious. As with probable cause, reasonable suspicion is subject to an officer's discretion. Once this has been established, it allows a law enforcement officer to hold someone briefly and frisk them for weapons. Probable cause in the United States, the Fourth Amendment protects citizens against unlawful detainment and unlawful searches of their property by requiring that law enforcement officers show probable cause before any arrest, search, or seizure can take place. Whether with or without a warrant, probable cause is established when officers have enough proof to perform an arrest or search. A person has been witnessed committing a crime. That's obvious probable cause. A person comes back with a positive GSR test. That is probable cause in some cases. A person has disobeyed a lawful order. That's probable cause. That's an offense that occurred in the presence of an officer. A person who's been witnessed driving recklessly, witnessing a person robbing a store, bank, or home. All of that counts as probable cause for us. Take a minute or two and look at the flow chart at the top of section 2H, the guilty and not guilty pleas, and HUT in that sentence, in that chart refers to hold until arrest, or I'm sorry, hold until trial. So basically there is no bail. Um, they are held until they are able to go before a judge. 10-2. All right. So let me know when you've gone through that, and then we'll go through guilty, not guilty.
I'm good.
All right. So um, familiar yourself with that flow chart. It includes the process for held until trial charges, along with charges that hold time above 120 months. When a suspect pleads guilty, parole will be issued. Parole, I believe. Uh, hey, LT, what's going on?
Oh, same shit, different day.
It always rolls downhill.
Mm-hmm.
So, when a suspect pleads guilty, parole will also be issued. It is always set at double their jail sentence. For example, if their jail sentence is 30 months, parole will be set at 60 months. Um, for a parole violation, if you arrest somebody who has an active parole tag, an additional charge of parole violation will be added. For non-guilty pleas, when a suspect pleads guilty, not guilty, one of two things are going to happen. Either one, for a non-violent crime, they're going to receive no time and no fine. You're going to flag their MDW profile with the PTA marker and send a not guilty email in the Discordia to notify the DOJ the suspect will be released on a promise to appear or PTA. For violent crimes, they're going to receive the full time, but they're not going to receive a fine.
Shots outside Triple SO.
Sorry about that.
You have shots fired. Is that you? Okay. So for violent crimes, they're going to receive the full time but no fine. You're going to flag their MDW with a PTA marker. Once they're released from DOC, they will still be under PTA regulations until they appear at trial. For PTA regulations, if somebody is out on that and they're caught committing another crime, they'll receive the default judgment on their PTA incident and be sentenced to full time and fine. So for nonviolent crimes, they're going to go ahead and automatically be sentenced for the full time and the full fine and go through that way. For the violent crime, they've already done their time, but they're going to be sentenced to the fine with that and automatically be taken. For community service, it's only available to anyone who takes a plea deal for nonviolent crimes. If a plea is accepted, you must notify DOC and they will handle the community service. All right. Any questions on that? Clear as mud?
Yeah, clear.
Moving on to Chapter 3. Chapter 3A, Officer Safety. So we use the scan model here. So for our officer safety, we're always going to be physically and mentally prepared from the time we go on duty to the time we get home and we're off duty. We're always going to expect the worst and hope for the best so that we're as prepared as we can be for whatever happens. Going to be flexible and ready to adapt to any changes as they occur over the duration of a stop or a call. We're going to scan the vehicle on a traffic stop to increase officer safety and awareness. And it's not just a traffic stop, it's any time that you are out in public in that uniform. You got to remember, as soon as you walk out the door in that uniform, you have a bullseye on your back. That's just the way of the world right now. So we're the S in scan, we're going to seek. We're going to constantly scan the exterior and interior of the vehicle. We're going to look at buildings, we're going to look at the top of buildings. We're going to know who's around us, and we're going to keep the best situational awareness that we possibly can. The C is going to be clues that indicate violations or danger. Anything from the way a person is standing, target glances, anything that gives us that hair on the back of the neck feeling that something's not quite right. We're going to be looking for contraband. We're going to be looking for weapons. We're going to be looking for narcotics. And that's, again, it's listed under traffic stops, but any interaction that we have outside of our homes, this is how we're going to start our day. 3C traffic stops. They're going to be a common duty performed by you during your time patrolling. Typically, 2 units would be on one stop marked as a primary and secondary unit. The primary unit will be responsible for making contact with the driver and dealing with the offense occurred. This is typically going to be the officer that witnessed the offense and initiated the initial stop. Your secondary unit is your primary safety blanket. They're going to remain seated in their vehicle and be ready to pursue the suspect if they were to evade or to bail out and assist if there is any type of danger to the officer that is primary. Down below in the diagram, you can see how a typical traffic stop would be set out. You can see the primary and secondary units are on slight angles to protect the vehicle and the approaching officer from other vehicles approaching from the rear. And I would actually have that back vehicle spaced over another car width to the left, just to provide that primary vehicle with a little bit more wiggle room on the entry and exit.
Just move it to left, cover more of the car, give them more space to work with.
Correct. So you have to assume that depending on where it's happening, they're either parked on the roadway or just off the roadway. So the farther over that secondary vehicle can be to give that primary officer more room to enter and exit his vehicle and approach the suspect vehicle, the better off we are. And it also allows you to have more of an angle to peel out and get behind the vehicle if a pursuit started. And you and I are going to do, or you and whoever handles that part of your FTO are going to do several mock traffic stops so that we can show you exactly how to position your vehicles, when to get out of your vehicle, what to call in, how to approach the suspect vehicle, how to handle your interactions, where to stand safely, things like that. It's not just going to be you read it in the book and we're going to throw you to the wolves. We're going to do it several times in practice just to make sure that you got it down. Section 3B, evidence collection. Evidence is very important when it comes to convictions. Anytime a scene is considered code 4 or safe, units should then proceed to collect evidence on the scene no matter what the cost. This helps LEOs serve the correct conviction towards the correct party. So the equipment you're going to need for that is your Nikon camera, your flashlight, and your evidence bags, which you should have 20 in your 20 empty evidence bags in your inventory at all times. Types of evidence we're looking for: bullet casings, blood samples, fingerprints, photos, weapons, GSR positive, DNA can be considered an evidence, blood spatter under blood sample, any of those things we're going to use as evidence and hopefully use that to help get the conviction at trial or the guilty plea. And again, we're going to do this in person also. For evidence collection field training, step 1, once the scene has been called, code 4, the next step would be to pull out your flashlight and verify all the locations of potential evidence, such as casings, projectile, blood, weapons, and more. All right. Step 2, once all evidence has been verified by the appropriate party, you as the officer collecting the evidence will then document all of the evidence around the surrounding area with your camera. You may pick up evidence, but the camera is what shows the proper location of the evidence on scene. So once we've identified where evidence is at using the flashlight, before we pick up and bag anything, we're going to photograph that evidence where it is. I prefer to photograph it from at least 2 angles, just so there's no question in a jury's mind or a judge's mind where that particular piece of evidence was located. When you go back into crime scene reconstruction, those photos are going to be super important in being able to put things where they were at and put people in those positions as well.
Yeah. So the more photos, the better.
Yes. My day job, a typical crime scene, I'm going to take at least 300 photos minimum. I think the most I've done on a triple homicide was close to 1,200. But I'm going to photograph everything from as many angles as possible, in different light angles, different positions, as much as I possibly can to get an accurate depiction of what that scene is, what's there, and the other thing that you're photographing is things that are not there. So if there's a vehicle that was there before and it's not there now, you're photographing the lack of that presence. If there was a body, you see blood, you know there was a body there, but it's not there now, you're photographing that pertinent negative. You're documenting the lack of something that's supposed to be there.
Yeah. Kind of like tire tracks.
Absolutely correct. Tire tracks, footprints, broken windows, anything like that.
Yep. Yeah, because the pictures at the end of the day are telling a story that we're also telling.
Correct. And that story is going to be dictated by the evidence. We look at evidence and we come up with a plausible explanation of the facts that fits the evidence. We never ever make the evidence fit our explanation of the facts. And because of that, through the course of working at the scene, your story of what happened is going to change probably multiple times based on new evidence that comes up. And you have to be willing to either completely throw out and start over with a different theory or alter the theory that you have to fit the evidence that you have. All right, step 3, you're going to then gather all of the evidence on scene by properly pulling out your flashlight. You'll hover over the desired evidence and flex your G muscle. This will allow you to bag the evidence and place it into your inventory. Step 4, you will then process your evidence into your incident report and save it. And when we go through the MDW in the field, we'll go through how to handle that. Step 5, you'll then find the nearest evidence locker and open it. Reports will be R_ and the report number, and incidents will be I_ and the incident number. You'll match this to the corresponding report and incident number. All right, any questions?
Yeah, it makes sense to me. Take as many pictures, gather evidence, make sure you document it, make sure it gets put in the right report with corresponds for that call. Yeah.
All right, how you looking on time?
I can wrap this up.
All right, so we'll go ahead and stop it here. Let's see, we've got how many more pages?
No, we can finish this. There's only a couple more pages. Let's finish this up.
Okay. Felony and high-risk traffic stops, or... Okay, so we're going to have to actually end here for a few minutes, and we will come back and check things out here in a little bit.
Okay.
All right? See you back here in a few.
All right. All right.
All right, and I'm actually kind of glad that they ended it. They gave me that timeout because I need to run take care of a few things, and I will be back shortly. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. Let's see if server is back up. See what we got going on. I think we're going to cut the academy here for tonight. Yeah, cutting it for tonight. Wow. How are you guys doing? Both of you doing all right? No, still down. Weird night. Weird night, weird night. Good. I'm glad you guys are doing good. So, is there a way to refresh 5M to see if the server is back up without completely closing out of it and having to open it back up, or is that pretty much the only way? No, not doing the cam right now. So, since I went out with my injury, I'm deciding to see exactly how long my beard and my hair can get. So right now I look like Santa's homeless cousin, if that makes any sense. It's not pretty, and I really um, think a very short Hagrid, something like that. It's not pretty. Nobody wants to see that. So for right now, I'm just doing without the cam. And I kind of want the focus to be on the new server and all the visuals that are in there. So yeah, no cam right now. May It may come back later. It may not. It all depends on how pretty I'm feeling that particular day. Captain Caveman, yes, Captain Caveman would be a good one. I need to find the little leopard print unitard. Actually, right now I could probably pull off a Captain Caveman Halloween costume pretty good, pretty easily. Start physical therapy tomorrow. Honestly, I'm not really looking forward to that. Um, Hopefully, it's worse in my mind than it will be in person. We'll find out. It will actually be the first time that I've ever had to do any physical therapy. But nobody that I know that has gone through physical therapy has had anything good to say. Um, so we'll see. How much longer are you out? At least 3 more weeks. 3 more weeks. I go back for another follow up with my orthopedic surgeon, and he'll determine from there whether or not I'm able to go back for light duty, full duty, or still no duty. So the plus side is I can't really say I'm getting a lot done around the house. The kids are getting a lot done around the house. I think they're ready for me to go back to work, probably more than I'm ready to go back to work. I've definitely seen the inside of my house more than I've wanted to see. I've watched more TV than I wanted to watch. And if I'm being honest, I've played more games than I wanted to play. I'm ready to be able to walk without crutches. I'm ready to be able to drive and do all of those things. It amazes me how much I took all of that for granted and never thought a second thing about it. Now that I'm not able to do it, it's the only thing that I want to do. I appreciate that, guys. It is what it is. It's not anything that I have any control over. It's aggravating, yes. I'm not hurting as bad as I was, and I'm very thankful for that. I've been able to go through it without any prescription pain meds, so I'm very happy for that. I do not like taking those. I don't like the way they make me feel, so I try to avoid them if at all possible. I'm able to sleep. I'm able to sit comfortably. So just a matter of getting the leg back to where it needs to be able to support my fat ass and make me walk. It's funny because a I'm not an athletic person. I'm not the one that wants to go work out. I'm not the one that wants to go run a 5K, but I really want to run. I have no idea why, but the last 2 weeks or so, I have really wanted to be able to run. And I hate running. I absolutely detest running. Running's what got me where I'm at. So it, it's weird. The one thing that I hate doing is what I would really love to do more than anything right now. I wouldn't say I'm in the wrong profession if I hate running. Um, Thankfully, in my area, we don't have many foot pursuits to begin with. Just as an agency, we don't do a whole lot of foot pursuits. And the way our policy is written, it's very rare that we do a vehicle pursuit. Um, it's a part of the job. I accept it as a part of the job. It's one of those things that I don't have to like it. I just got to do it. But I wouldn't necessarily say the wrong profession. Should I be more active? Should I do more things like that? Oh yeah, absolutely, 100%. But it is what it is. It's just part of it. I'm not that fond of paperwork either, but that's a huge part of my job. So it's just one of those things that you don't have to like it. You just have to do it to get the paycheck. Um, so that's kind of a convoluted question. So I initially went into the academy out of high school. So I started in law enforcement in 97. I left in late 2001. I got married and moved out of the area. And then got divorced, moved back into the area, went back into law enforcement in 2007, and I've been where I'm at since then. So, 17, 21, 22 years, somewhere in there. A long time, a really long time. The way our agency is structured, you're eligible to retire after 10 years, you're vested for retirement. But the amount that you get is um, lowered. So the longer you're there, and the older you are, the more percentage of your pay you will get. So I'm trying to stick it out as long as I possibly can. Um, when I came back in '07, my timer started over again. So I am at 17 years now with this go. So I want to do at least 20. And by that time, I will be 49-ish, 50-ish, somewhere in there, depending on how old I actually am. Um, and then reevaluate from there. With that gold watch and that paycheck every month, and then go do something that is absolutely minimal stress, go work at a Lowe's or stock at Walmart or deliver pizzas, something that is just considerably more low stress than this. I don't think I can be that guy that doesn't do anything, that just stays retired and stays home. I think that would probably, and now more than ever, I think that would probably just bug the shit out of me. And there's no possible way that I would be able to stay sane doing that. So I'll have to find something, whether it's continuing to teach or um, whatever it is. It's going to be as far outside of the realm of law enforcement as I can possibly get. O'Reilly's, yeah, a job like that. I know absolutely nothing about vehicles, so I would be so far out of my element working in an O'Reilly's that as soon as somebody came in looking for, trying to find a Canuter valve, I would know. I would know what to point them to or what it did. And I'm useless when it comes to a vehicle. I can drive them. I can teach other people to drive them. I'm pretty good at wrecking them, and on occasion, I can even refill it without blowing myself up. But that's about as far as it goes. Know nothing about them. I did a lot of IT work in the past, maybe something like that. I don't know if I could see myself sitting behind a desk again um, for a nine to five gig. I would probably want something where I'm at least up on my feet, moving around. Um, yeah, I don't know. That's one thing that I haven't figured out exactly is what I want to do in retirement. I'm beginning to wonder if they like physically drove to wherever the server's hosted and pulled the plug, and then they have to replug it in and restart it from there. What? Non-roleplay. Why would you have a roleplay server that's non-roleplay? I don't. At that point, you're just playing a game, and you don't even have to be in a server to do that. Hey, we're back. Sweet. Almost. It's starting up. We're halfway there. We know they found the power, or at least paid the power bill. Oh, that was a good game. Remember LA Noir? It was in that last ad that they just had up. So that I want. Yeah, right there, LA Noir. It's a great game. I think it was Rockstar that put it out. It was set. was it 50s, 40s, 50s, somewhere in there, old school Los Angeles detective, like the film noir days. Loved that game. That would have been something that if they did uh, a 5M type thing for it, that I would absolutely be all over. $100. It's probably one of my all-time favorite games. Come on, start up, you bastard. What was another game that I really enjoyed? I'm a baseball nerd, so I liked the 2K baseball games. I still enjoy playing the show. Those are fun. Uh, any of the Assassin's Creed games, I could sit and play those for hours. I love those games. I like the history, how it there's just enough real history to keep it interesting, but they also go through and add their own little spin on it. I think it's fun. That and the main characters do all of the fun stuff that a fat old guy can't do. So I kind of live vicariously through those games. Come on. I think since him's gone, I may go back in as Cole. See what I can do. You know, and I know that I'm about to lose all of my nerd credibility. I have never played a Legend of Zelda game. From the original NES all the way forward, I have never played a Legend of Zelda game. They didn't. I've watched a couple of friends that I have play it, and they didn't interest me. I I didn't have any desire to play. No, no. Never played one. I swear. One of my sergeants has a tattoo on his arm of one of the characters from Zelda, and he thinks that I'm a heretic for being that way. And it's not malicious. I don't have anything against it. I just don't have any desire to play it. It just never intrigued me. No, I've never played Skyrim either. I'm not much for the fantasy type. The witches and warlocks and dragons and wizards and it just it's cool, but it's not anything that really grasped me. I never I read a whole lot, and I read a lot of fiction. But I never even read a whole lot of fantasy. I prefer more of the science fiction type stuff. I just never did anything for me. Don't have anything against it. Don't dislike it. Just doesn't. It's not my thing. Closest I ever came to any of that was playing Dungeons and Dragons in high school, and I think that was as much as that was for the as much as that was for the game and the setting. That would probably more for the social aspect and being with my friends more than it was for the fantasy aspect of it. I so I had a gap of probably from the time I was 19 or 20 until maybe 5 years ago that I didn't play any games. I didn't, maybe 10 years ago because I played a lot of Guitar Hero. That was a long time that I played that. I didn't play any other games, but I played that. But I had a big gap where I just didn't play any games. Um, no particular reason, just didn't play them. So there's a lot of stuff that I feel like I kind of missed out on as far as the old staples, the Halo and the um, Medal of Honor, things like that. I kind of feel like I missed out on those just because I wasn't playing at the time. I've gotten back into it more heavily recently. Let's see what all have I got on my desktop now as far as games. So currently loaded, I have 5M, Call of Duty, X Defiant, which is kind of like Wish.com's version of Call of Duty. That's done by Ubisoft, I think. Body Cam, which is interesting. I think it's got a long way to go, but if they do what they need to do with it, then it's going to be a really good game. Um, Ghost Recon Breakpoint, Assassin's Creed Mirage, Silent Hunter 5, which is an old submarine game. Uh, Battlefield 2042 and Sea of Thieves, which I played through the tutorial and haven't touched since. I wasn't a fan of it. A guy at work was trying to get me to play it, and it just didn't do anything for me. And Fortnite, I got Fortnite for the kids to play. Um, Mirage wasn't bad to me. It so I have a weird way of looking at the Assassin's Creed games. I don't look at them as a franchise, um, so much as I look at them as individual standalone games. So I don't compare Odyssey to Revelations or Origins to Mirage or Assassin's Creed 2 to Syndicate. I consider them all their own individual, like their own little, I guess, franchises. So it I don't, I guess I don't get let down as much as other people do because of that. Um, I haven't played all the way through Mirage, but I'm not disappointed with it. I don't like it as much as I liked Assassin's Creed 2, um, Brotherhood, Revelation, anything with Ezio or Altair, I'll play all day long. Love those. Those are my favorite ones in that franchise. Um, but I'll play all of them just to, except for the side scroller little mini game thing. Those suck. Those should have never been done. That was just to keep people's interest until they put out a workable product. And I actually liked the movie. The no, I don't know anybody who actually liked the Assassin's Creed movie except for me. I enjoyed it. I wanted more, but apparently nobody else did. Black Flag. Black Flag is the one I did not like, and I will tell you why I did not like Black Flag. I hate the ship combat. I hate the ship controls, and I hate the ship combat. And Um, they rolled it in so much, and it was so integral to playing the game that it just killed it for me. It absolutely killed it for me. I did not like Black Flag. Um, Assassin's Creed 3, yeah, I could take or leave. I love the story. I love the Revolutionary War. take on it, but it was just kind of to me, you know. I'd actually um, forgot that Black Flag existed. That's how much I dislike Black Flag. I don't even consider that part of the franchise. But 3, the story is the best part of 3. I love the story. The gameplay to me was just kind of you know. And if I had to say that there was one that was a letdown to me as far as gameplay, that it would be 3. Um, just and I can't articulate why specifically that it was such a letdown for me, but I guess with such a good story and the history wrapped around it and such good characters and character development and the character acting that's in it, I think I just expected to more to do in the game. I don't know. You mentioned Helldivers. That's on the list. I haven't got it yet, but Doom Kitty and I, that's on our list of things to get and try to play. It's everybody that I've talked to about it says they love it. Um, quite frankly, right now I don't have time to learn another game and get involved in a long type game like that. But yeah, it's definitely on the list. It's definitely on the list of games to get and try. Um, body cam, body cam, it's fun, but it can be so much better. Um, it's still in its really early stages, and if they do the things that they could do with it, and they improve the gameplay and the controls the way that they should improve them, then body cam is going to be a force to be reckoned with. It's going to be a really huge game. The hell, X Defiant is um, Ubisoft's answer to Call of Duty, and it's all right. It feels like they were trying really way too hard to make a competitor for Call of Duty, and at the same time, it feels like they got 3/4 of the way through it and just said, "Yeah, screw it, it's good enough. They'll pay for it," and it's free. So it's got a lot of potential. I just don't know if Ubisoft will sink the time and money into it to make it what it could be. All right, how long does it take the server to start up? Unless something is seriously broke, I would think that it would be up and running by now. Send a quick message and see what's going on. What other big games are out? Fortnite. My kids play Fortnite. I have played exactly one match on Fortnite, and it really didn't do a whole lot for me. You can see what the biggest, most popular games are right now. All right, store. Top sellers. Counter-Strike 2, never played it. Destiny I played, it was okay. Red Dead Redemption, yeah, not bad. Not bad at all. Sims, I went through a Sims phase, like I think every other nerd has done in their life. I did go through a heavy Sims phase. Apex Legends, I have not played that one. Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege. Played the original Rainbow Six and Rainbow Six Vegas and Rainbow Six 2, but I have not played Siege. Hogwarts Legacy, that's on the list to get. I'm a Harry Potter nerd, so I definitely want to try that. Ready or Not is on the list, along with Gray Zone and Ground Branch. All three of those look really, really, really good. Call of Duty, I play that on a regular basis. Ghost Recon Breakpoint, I've made it through the first mission. So far, it's all right. I like it. Gameplay's a little bit different than I'm used to, but I don't dislike it. The Witcher, I haven't played any of those. Rust, I see a lot of people playing, but that's one of those that it just really doesn't grab me. I haven't seen anything that really just makes me want to play it. Um, Forza Horizon, I'm not a driving game guy. I'm really not. Um, never, never got into the driving thing. You see how bad I drive in GTA, and take that and multiply it times like 5, and um, you have how bad I do in driving games. It's atrocious how bad I do in driving games. Doom, I've played most of the Dooms. I enjoyed those. Those are old school. Old school. Batman Arkham Knight, those were all right. Hitman, I played one of the Hitmans, and it was okay, but not okay enough for me to want to play any of the other ones. Hey, we're getting back in. Yay. Yes, great. So, are you either of you familiar with the Gaming Grandpa? If you've watched any of his stuff, you'll immediately know exactly who I'm talking about just by saying Gaming Grandpa. So if you get a chance, look him up. He's on YouTube. I think he's on TikTok. I believe it's. Let me look it up real quick. I believe it's Gaming Grandpa. Is his username? Um,
The bullet went through his head.
Grandpa Gaming. I'm sorry, Grandpa Gaming. Um, he's a retired. I want to say he's retired. He's retired military, maybe Army. Um, but he's a retired sniper, I believe. But he plays. Um, and by retired, I mean he's like in his early to mid 70s. He plays Battlefront. He plays Gray Zone. Um, and he is awesome. He will hit shots with a sniper rifle in these games that's just not not human, and it's so fun to watch. Um, because he'll go on and he'll troll the little kids, and it's funny as hell. He's my spirit animal. He's what I want to be when I grow up. Let's see. Oh, we got on if anybody. Oh, wait, all other people come on. He's always fun to watch. If you're familiar with and if you're not, the Unsubscribed podcast had him on as a guest, and that whole episode is really neat to watch, to hear his story and how he got into doing what he's doing. Started playing video games in the 70s, and just kept all the way through it. The thing, a fighting chance of being able to perform. Yeah, now we're starting to get people in. Hey, I'm number one. Hey, I'm number one. I'm number one. What do you guys play? Stark, I know you said you play Helldivers. Anything else? Outlaw? What's poison? Assassin's Creed, Mass Effect, Skyrim, Zelda, Pokemon. Never got into the Pokemon thing. I had my Magic the Gathering phase. But I was never into the Pokemon cards. Mass Effect. I'm not familiar with Mass Effect. I'll have to look that one up. Fortnite downloaded, but haven't played since Dad passed. Well, we're going to be getting you into GTA soon, and you can. It's actually quite therapeutic when you have a character that you can just go run amok and cause as much chaos as you want to cause. We're gonna go in the city. Look green to me. Oh, it's not working at all. I don't know that I've ever seen an ambulance with a turbocharger on it, but it does make it getting from point A to point B a little bit easier. Yes, the speed limit sign is nice. It makes me know exactly how much I'm breaking the speed limit by. I don't usually pay a whole lot of attention to it. Traffic control devices are more of a suggestion than anything else for Cole. The only laws he's worried about are the laws of physics. Let's see what kind of cars they've got in stock now. You can't use the parking meters. Can't break into the mailboxes. Ooh. That looks fun. Ocelot jugular. Hmm. Try that one out. Kind of digging the color too. Ooh. Not much on turning. Maybe. Hmm. Interesting. What is that under? It's not under. Compact. Nice. And that Bentley looked good. All right. Oh, it's under sports cars. Hmm. Oop, gotta go to work. right, I'm not seeing anybody. If they ever got the motorcycle shop up and running. Hey, I did. $320,000 motorcycle. Mm, like something out of the Tron movie. I bet you would. I bet you would. What that zombie chopper looks like. That's a motorcycle. No, I don't got one either. Yeah, I'm not going to get on a bike because that would ensure that I would have to wind up going to the hospital. And no, there's not any other EMS on duty to pick my fat ass up. Shih Tzu. Oh, that's funny. That is funny. That red bike or that red bike? One or two. Ah, okay. I didn't even see that one before. Shih Tzu. That's funny as hell. Nine. I think that's probably a record so far. 9 people at one time. I need petrol. That'll be the closest place. Yeah, I haven't specifically paid attention, but I believe that's the first time that I've seen a motorcycle shop in a city that specifically dealt only with motorcycles. I know out in Sandy there is a new shop that opened up. I don't know if it is a like LS Customs type shop that works on them or if they specifically sell custom bikes out of there. Oh God, I hate these. What's this? All right, Stark. Have a good one, man. Thank you for hanging out with me tonight. I appreciate it. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. Really? It's going to be that kind of night. I can already see. All right. Anything on the map? Nothing on the map. The rental staging spot by the casino. If I can make it out of here without blowing myself up. You're going to laugh, but it's been so long since I heard any of the Twitch alerts, so long since I streamed, that actually scared the crap out of me. It was so loud in my ears that I had no idea what it was. But thank you, V-Rock, for the follow. I appreciate it. Take your time. Right back at you. So tomorrow night, we'll probably start the stream again with Speedo about 10:30. He'll be going through, and these times are central, by the way. He'll be going through, finishing Bradford's academy. Hopefully, get him into phase 2. The quicker we can get him into phase 3, the quicker he can start driving a vehicle. So we're trying to push him through that as quick as we can. So yeah, we'll hop in about 10:30 tomorrow night. Get him finished up through his academy. We don't have too much. I think we got high risk stops, pursuits, vehicle pitting, boxing, call response, priority list, 10 codes. I have a whole lot at all. We should be able to knock the rest of his academy out in about 20 minutes, maybe. Maybe 30 if he has a lot of questions. And once we get that done, we can get him into, take him out. We'll do some, take him down to the range. Triple SO actually has its own range. So, take him out, get him some range time, shooting, get the basic movement down with that, go out, pull a car out, do a couple of traffic stops at the airport. Then probably get him in a car and get him started on comms, get used to talking, seeing what goes on, get him out just randomly talking to people to get him used to that. Just the basic field training stuff, easy stuff. We'll get him up to phase 3 in no time at all. He's a good guy. He's a smart guy, so it won't take him long at all to catch on. I thought Ruby might come back on, but I guess not. It's just us chickens. I'll give it about another 5 minutes, and then I'm going to start heading towards the station. Get up early, make breakfast for the kids, for myself, get ready to go get bent into unnatural positions by a physical therapist. I hope not. Like I explained to Tim or Jay earlier, I'm very much a hope for the best but expect the worst kind of guy. So in my mind, if I expect the worst, it won't be as bad as it could be. So I'm hoping it's not too terribly bad. I actually should probably, once I get the leg healed, I'm thinking about looking into yoga. Figure if I'm going to be a fat, hairy guy, I might as well be a limber, fat, hairy guy. All right, I'm headed back, and I want to get there quickly. I'm so excited that we had 9 people in at the same time tonight. That's a record that I've seen, and the fact that it's 1 a.m. and there's 9 people, that makes me feel really good. That makes me even more hopeful for how things are going to turn out with the server. So, update for those of you that follow SAP. He had some lightning damage to his equipment. He was able to get his the server kickoff last night, but he's going to hold off on doing any more streaming until he is able to get all that fixed. Should be delivered Saturday or Sunday, so we're hoping next week that he will be back up and running. He is he and John Campbell, that you know from the other place. A lot of guys, Stark was one of them, have done so much to get this up and running, and um, uh, am very, very proud of all the hard work that they've done and the things that they've been able to accomplish here. So thank you for joining me tonight. Again, tomorrow night, be back probably around 10:30 Central. We'll start with Speedo, go through the academy, and then move from there. You guys have a great night.